Hello and welcome to Eyewitness News Now. Digital anchor Fletcher Keel here with you for a very exciting day here in Tallahassee. The second gentleman of the United States, Doug Emhoff, is in Tallahassee visiting a local vaccination site, and we have our cameras in the room for you. We're going to actually, well, he was just there. He has actually stepped out of the frame as we've gone live, but as soon as we see him pop back up again, we will bring him to you, his visit to a vaccination site here in Tallahassee. Let's take a look a little bit about why it is that the second gentleman is here. He's here in conjunction with President Biden's National Month of Action on the COVID-19 vaccine. Of course, for some time now, President Biden has wanted the goal of at least 70% of adults with at least one shot in their arm by the 4th of July. This visit by second gentleman Emhoff, a step in the direction to help get a part of the country, of course, here in Tallahassee and Leon County in that direction. FAMU is participating in a very special, you can see that right there on your screen, FAMU participating in a very special COVID-19 college vaccine challenge along with other institutions, and according to a press release sent out by the White House, by the U.S. government earlier this morning, it is a threefold action-led program to help get campus community vaccinated, engaging every student, faculty, and staff member, organizing their college communities, and delivering vaccine access for all. So FAMU taking part in that program. And you can see that number at the bottom of your screen right there. We're highlighting Leon County just because that is where the second gentleman is today. 37.2% of Leon County residents have been vaccinated. That number is, of course, courtesy of the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, giving us that number as of this morning, as of last check. If you are watching this and you are not yet vaccinated and you would like to get vaccinated but don't know where to look, there are a couple of simple ways for you to do that. You can text your zip code to 438829 to get locations near you with vaccines in stock. If you need your information in Spanish, you can text 822862. You can visit vaccines.gov, vaccines.gov to find your location, sort by specific vaccine types, and get more information on how to make an appointment. Or you can call the National COVID-19 Vaccination Assistance Hotline at 1-800-232-0233. You can get help in English, Spanish, or in 150 other languages. So if you're watching this with the second gentleman here in Tallahassee and you're thinking to yourself that you might want to get vaccinated, those are the ways to do it. The text line, 438-829. Vaccines.gov, or the National COVID-19 Vaccination Assistance Hotline, 1-800-232-0233. We talked right when we went on air. That second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, is in town. He actually stepped out of the shot that we had up right as we went on air, so we can't take you to a live shot with the second gentleman just yet, but we do want to show you this, that he took some time this morning to visit with some city leaders. That picture courtesy of our Monica Casey on her Twitter account. It is Monica Casey and Hannah Messier who are at the scene for us today. We're going to take you to that scene live in just a moment. But this photo, courtesy of at Monica Casey News on Twitter, the second gentleman visiting with city leaders today, visiting with, in that picture you can see Mayor John Daley, Commissioner Curtis Richardson, and Commissioner Diane Williams-Cox, of course, with second gentleman Doug Emhoff right there. So taking some time to visit some city leaders before he heads to the Richardson Lewis Center, the neighborhood medical center, where he is going to meet with some clinic leadership, participate with a listening session in the community to learn more about the vaccination needs here in Leon County, and maybe a little bit about the vaccination needs across North Florida. Now, Monica relayed this information to us a little bit earlier, saying that there are going to be 3 or 4 parts to this visit for the second gentleman. First, he will visit the vaccination room, then a round table will be held, and then they'll head outside to view a mobile unit for vaccinations, and then a pull aside for a question and answer session with the second gentleman. So that is what is on the docket today. Let's see if we can get you out to a live pick. We are awaiting the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, to come and join us in this picture. And then the festivities can truly begin for the visit from the second gentleman of the United States visiting Tallahassee today. Welcome to those of you watching us here on Eyewitness News Now. Digital anchor Fletcher Keel with you as we are taking a look at live pictures from the Richardson Lewis Center, also known as the Neighborhood Medical Center. Where we are, we know that the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, is at the center. We are just waiting for him to appear in a picture for us so we can see him. You are watching the tag team, by the way, this shot courtesy the dynamic duo of Monica Casey and Hannah Messier, who are at the scene for us. They are getting what we call B-roll, some video footage that we can use for our newscast later, some close-ups, some wide shots. So that is why you will see a busy camera, I guess would be the best way to put that, is the camera gets set on that shot. Now, of course, that chair in the middle reserved for the second gentleman. And moments before we went on air here on Eyewitness News Now, there was a shot of a 16-year-old Leon County resident. This info from our Monica Casey. She said one of the first things he did at the center was watch a 16-year-old woman get her shot, a Pfizer shot. She said some of her friends were nervous because it came out so quickly. That's why they were hesitant to get the shot at first. And then the second gentleman emphasized to her that they have been doing the science that it takes to begin the process of developing a vaccine like this for several years. So she out today, not only to get one of her first COVID-19 shot, but also doing so in the presence of the first ever second gentleman of the United States of America. So a pretty cool memory that young girl will have for the rest of her life, and a cool little bragging moment that she has to be able to tell that story. So the agenda for second gentleman Emhoff's visit looks something like this. They're going to do a bit of a tour of the vaccination room. There will be a round table where he will have a conversation with some community members, some community leaders as well. And then they're going to head out to visit a mobile unit, and then after that, a more traditional Q&A session with the second gentleman. So we are still awaiting seeing the second gentleman in this room. We know he's there, we know he is in Tallahassee. Took a picture earlier with Mayor John Daley, Commissioner Curtis Richardson, and Commissioner Diane Williams-Cox. You can find that photo over on Monica Casey's Twitter page at Monica Casey News, also on our Twitter page, if you're so inclined, at WCTV. And also, just moments ago, we had the shot. We unfortunately were not up live on Eyewitness News Now to bring you that shot, but the second gentleman watching a 16-year-old girl get her first shot, a Pfizer shot, saying that she and her friends were a little hesitant at first because of how fast the vaccine came out, something that we have heard from a lot of people, not just here in town, but really across the state and across the country. But the second gentleman was there to reassure her that this is science that has been years and years in the making. They had a head start, essentially, on getting a vaccine out as fast as they did. So we are in the room awaiting the second gentleman and speak and he shall appear. There he is, second gentleman Doug Emhoff.
Hi, everyone.
In the room in Tallahassee. Let's step aside and hear what
he
has to say.
In Tallahassee. Do you want to welcome us?
I sure will.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Neighborhood Medical Center. I have the honor of introducing Mr. Douglas Emhoff to everyone, second gentleman of the United States. Welcome to Tallahassee. Welcome to Neighborhood Medical Center.
Great. It's so great to be here in Tallahassee. This is the first stop on our month of action to get people vaccinated. There's no more important thing to be doing what you're all doing right now, the work that you're doing. So first of all, I just want to thank you so much for all the stuff that you've done and all the stuff that you will do to get us to our goal of 70% by July 4th. And we are well on our way, but we got work to do, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to do that work. So I'm also looking forward to hearing about the work you're doing here, Jeanne, at the Neighborhood Medical Center. So far, it's just amazing to be here. We got to see a vaccination, which was very incredible, of a 16-year-old teenager who talked about why it was so important to get vaccinated, not only for her own health, but for the health of her family, her community, and her neighborhood, which is one of the best reasons to do this. So where are we? This has obviously been a horrible year or so coming through COVID, and I've had a chance to travel the country as second gentleman and on the campaign, and things were really tough. They're starting to get better, but we're not there yet. As President and Vice President have been saying, we still have work to do. We have more than half of adult Americans have been fully vaccinated, so we're getting back to normal life, as we can see, but in order to get fully back to going to the sporting events and the weddings and all the things people want to do this summer and get back to school in the fall and go back to the movie theater, we're not going to be able to do that unless we hit those numbers, the 70% plus. So we've got to get that. So we want to get back to normal, fully normal, we need to get these vaccinations. And we were talking about, they're working. The vaccinations are working, they're safe, they're free, it's easy. I thought it was painless, but even if you don't like needles, it's quick. So it's going to go very fast, as we saw just before. So I don't want to hear the excuses, and the information's out there if you need information. But talk to your doctor, talk to Jeanne, and you'll get all the information you need to make that decision. But for me, it's a no-brainer. They really are working. They're safe, they're effective, free, available. No excuse to find it. You get free rides, child care if you need to do it. Vaccines.gov has all the information to do it. And even now, 12-year-olds, 12 and above, can get it. So I think, as the President mentioned the other day, 90% of Americans have a vaccine site within 5 miles of your house. And with free rides, again, no excuses to get this thing done. And then when you get your vaccine, be an ambassador, like our young friend here. We're going to hear about that. Go around to your neighborhood, tell your friends, tell people on the street, and get the word out. We're going to hear more from all of you about how you're doing that. Vaccines.gov. Text 438-829. Vaccines.gov. And if that's not enough, there's incentives. There's free beer. There's movie tickets or tickets to the game. So it's vaccines.gov, and there's an incentive section as well. So let's get this done. So Jeanne, why don't we start with you? just tell me what's going on here, what you've been doing in the community. I understand you have some pop-up
Yes.
going on, so why don't you tell everyone what's happening?
Well, we've definitely been on the forefront of vaccinating our community. In addition to our mission of primary care in our community, when COVID hit, we started with testing. Testing was very important. We started that in the community, started at our locations, pop-up testing events, and once the vaccine became available, we did that as well. We've been here for our community members. We want to make sure that people know the vaccine is safe. At every event that we have vaccine clinics, we have actual clinical providers here to provide education to people because we know there's vaccine hesitancy. We know that people have questions. We know that people want to know just simple things that you may not think about. We want to be here to answer those questions, educate the people in our community. And like I told you earlier, this shot is our best shot at getting back to some sense of normalcy.
So what are some of the things you're hearing, and how do you deal with that?
Some people say, well, I'm going to wait and see. Well, what are you waiting to see?
Right.
No, we know what COVID is going to do. We've seen COVID. So if we don't want to see any more of that, it's in our best interest to take the vaccine. You know, some people say, well, I want to wait until it's FDA approved, and Dr. Foster can go into more about that. But we want to make sure that people know the vaccine is safe. It's safe, the efficacy is high, and people are okay. We're okay with the vaccine. We want to make sure that people are not ending up in the ICU on ventilators or death. So that's what we have to come back and educate people about.
Now, you did a public service announcement, I hear,
Yes.
and you had a 17-year-old son who
Yes, we
was
made-
involved with that. Tell us about that.
My son came up and he said when Pfizer came out with the vaccine for adolescents and they were eligible to take it, he said, Mom, am I going to take the shot? And I said, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Ask me the questions that you want to know, but I want to make sure my son will be a senior in high school coming up, and I want this to be a year that he can enjoy.
Right.
And in order for that to happen, vaccination is key. We have to make sure that we educate our youth about, their future. This is life or death at this point. So he said, well, which one am I going to take? I said, well, Pfizer is the only one that you're going to be able to take because that's what's approved for your age range. And he said, what did you take? I said, well, I took Moderna because that's what was available at the time. Well, why aren't you giving me what you took? So, you go into that conversation, and he came in, he wasn't apprehensive at all. He asked questions, and as his parents, we answered those questions. And he was secure with that. So that's what this is all about.
So is he talking to his friends now?
He is definitely talking to
How's
his
that
friends.
going?
It's going great because most of his friends are vaccinated now. So it makes a difference, word of
That's so
mouth,
good.
they're okay, nothing's happened. My son came to neighborhood, he took his vaccine, him and a couple of his teammates. They went to basketball practice right after. They were fine.
And how's his life now?
He's excited.
Yeah.
He's excited about school. He's excited about being able to play basketball again with his friends and going out and, easing back into things. Still taking precautions, but he's excited.
The doctor, thank you for all the work you're doing. Jeanne talked about some of the myths and disinformation out there, and we see that especially on social media. So again, if you have questions, talk to a doctor. So how are you dealing with the myths and misinformation out there? What are you talking to folks about?
A lot, as Jeanne reiterated, that some are testing because they want to see. Other younger patients who will see are concerned that there might be side effects later on. Some other concerns are why did it come out so fast? So to answer those questions, I usually try to make sure that whatever question they have, I am available to answer them. So in terms of why did it come about so fast, I was able to watch a program who Miss Casey Porter. She is a young lady, 32 years old, PhD, and she was one of the leading immunologists who came up with discovering the COVID vaccine. And one of the things that she made aware, which I didn't know until I saw the program, was was that they had been working on the vaccine for at least 6 years
Right.
when SARS and some of the other viruses the flu
Right.
started. So they've been working on it for 6 years. So once they were able to get the genetic information from the COVID-19, they worked on it over the weekend and they were able to come up with it.
Right, and that's what I've been telling people and President, Vice President. This is not new technology.
Right.
This has been in the works for many years. I actually met her.
Oh,
Amazing doctor and an amazing person, and exactly right. And when you hear it from her and Dr. Fauci and all the scientists that came up with this miracle, it's not a miracle, it's science. It's been in the works for a long time. It didn't just kind of pop up overnight. And I think just getting people to understand that debunks a lot of the disinformation out there.
and in terms of side effects, of the millions of people who have received the vaccine, there's a minuscule amount of patients who have had adverse effects. I know when J&J held off on their vaccine, it was because there were at the time 50 patients out of like 6 million patients who had already been vaccinated who developed this venous thrombosis in the brain that's associated with the platelets. And 15 out of millions, that's still decent enough to make sure that people are vaccinated. One of the things, and today spoke about her study, I have 2 boys, one is 18 and the other one is 16. And they both got the vaccines, they got the Pfizer. And my older son just graduated 2 days ago. And it was in a stadium, so it was open air. And, you know, we were sitting together. And my son said, "Why do you have your mask on?" I said, "Well, just because I got vaccinated, I'm still conscious about other people who either may not have been vaccinated, or if they have a low immune system, they may not have that robust response to the vaccine that other people would have." So it's very important, even though we're, you know, in the open air, we were like, there was one person right in front of me, one person less than 6 feet apart. So, you know, those who have been vaccinated still have an obligation to make sure they do not know who nobody knows who's been vaccinated and who has not been vaccinated. So they're on the side of assuming that people are not vaccinated.
And encourage them to get vaccinated. James, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to meet you. You're a university professor, a preacher, and you have been encouraging people to get vaccinated. Why don't you tell me about that?
Yeah, so, I mean, for millennials, you think about what we represent in the United States, and right, we're 1/4 of the total U.S. population, we're 2/5 of the working age population, and we're 1/3 of the voting population. So trying to get millennials vaccinated is going to be a big effort if we want to get to the 70% threshold that we need to do. So part of our outreach is, one, you know, I'm vaccinated myself, so distilling some information that millennials may have about, I'm going to wait to get vaccinated, I don't need to get vaccinated because I'm healthy, but you don't understand that's not just about you.
Right.
It's about taking care of your family. It's about taking care of your friends. It's about being able to understand that we get vaccinated so that we can go back to normalcy, right? I want to go see Usher in Vegas, right? I want to go do things that are fun, right? And so I want to get back to normal like we had prior to COVID. We understand that we have a collective good and collective responsibility that we need to do so that we can all get back to some sense of normalcy. So millennials, you know, oftentimes we have, you know, for the African American community, negative relationship with the history of the government, but understanding that this is for us so that we won't be in hospitals, we won't be terminally ill. And so we want to get away from the position that we've been in and we currently in, we need to get vaccinated.
And picking up on what you said too, we were talking behind the scenes about, it can't just be about yourself, because if you're young, it may be if you get COVID, you're going to come through it okay. But if you transmit it to grandma or somebody who's immune compromised, they may die. And so you can prevent that from happening by taking care of yourself. But even if you don't want to take care of yourself, take care of others. And I think that's a very powerful message to get out there.
And we don't want it to be too late where you figure out, I'm going to get the vaccine, yet all my family members died, and now I care. We need to care prior to.
And I've seen too many of that vision on the news where somebody tragically lost family members, and that then and only then decided to get the vaccine, and wishes they had done it earlier, because you don't want to be in that situation. But thank you for what you're doing, because we got to get those folks getting vaccinated and getting engaged as much as possible. Patrice, how are you? Good to see you. It's good to say hi. Now, you've got this whole intersection of art and youth and education. Why don't you tell us about the work you're doing and how you're working on getting folks vaccinated?
Well, thank you very, very much. First of all, we received a grant from the Leon County Coronavirus Task Force. It was geared towards religious organizations and community organizations. And I didn't know where I fit in, but I tried. I tried and was successful. And our approach was the arts community is really big in Tallahassee. We have several orchestras, performing arts organizations. I own my own conservatory. We're 41 today. And we have students, and like Mr. Roman Bond here, our concertmaster, our advanced orchestra. And what I proposed was I get some celebrities in my professional world, as well as you like to speak to the public. And the most gut-wrenching one was a well-known celebrity named Darryl Toots. He lost 22 friends to COVID, professional. So he teaches here, and he's in New York for the summer. And he did this for us. And those videos, we had 8, we did one on TikTok, and several on TikTok. He had 8,000 hits for young people. Philip was talking about, hey, come on, Tallahassee, let's get that vaccinated. Reaching out to the arts community. Our students are pretty popular. And so we put together an ambassador program for our students to represent whatever school they're in, to be the voice. Summer camps, we're doing that. They'll play, you'll play, go out and play, talk. My son is going to play at our farmer concert this month. Summer camp, Matt Mullins, and he's going to be on Zoom saying, hey guys, let's get vaccinated. This thing is real.
So what message are you giving? How are you communicating the message?
But one of the main ways we're doing it, well, let me just say this. It's not just the millennials that are selfish. The generation underneath them can be very selfish and intentionally uninformed with their headset on, and they don't hear you. And so, what we've been doing is asking the same question that this gentleman did. Why? And you can make someone sick. Philip had 2 grandparents in his house last year. They didn't die from COVID. But if COVID had been there year before last, both parents died in his home. Both grandparents. And all you think about is that. And so we've been telling them, look at the other person. I have students who play football without being vaccinated and they're old enough. And we're saying, no, it's not about just you. It's about the other players. And we've been talking about selfishness. They think about it. When you reason with children, they listen to you.
And also to hear from other peers who have gotten vaccinated, which takes me to you, young man. How are you? So you are not only a musician, but a youth ambassador, right? Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I've been asked a lot of my friends. So we haven't talked about it. And I asked them, have any plans to vaccinate? And I did say that I talk to their parents, and well, I asked them how we feel about going back to school. And most of them really want to
I'm going to get a little closer.
Most of them really want to get back to school because everybody that I've talked to has talked how that grades are done, challenges are on Zoom is really much harder to do. And the curriculum is impossible to virtualize the same experience you have with science. And everybody really wants to go back to school, so I'm trying to place that in the school that we need to absolutely go and have community opportunity.
Well, I was first-time teacher last semester, had been Zoom, but I found my first time on Zoom. And I know exactly what it was. As a teacher, it was hard enough to teach at the time, but to do it on Zoom, so that was one of the things I was telling students and their parents is this is a better way to learn when we all get together and back and back. That's a great message.
If you don't mind me interjecting, don't get me wrong, the convenience of Zoom is great, but I'm paying tuition not to attend Zoom University.
Right. So, well, why don't we just formally say hi, Carrington. So you're at FAMU.
Yes.
And grade school here, two grade schools here. So you are, well, just tell me what you're doing there and what you work. I don't think you got a lot going on, so I'll just let you explain.
So I currently have the privilege of serving as Student Government Association President, so Student Body President at FAMU. And in April, we initially had a site to get testing for the entire city of Tallahassee. So initially, we were like, why on our campus? Like, our whole stadium was shut down. It was scary. It was a narrative that was presented to the world that was just terrifying. So we were like, why on our campus? But historically, when you look at our university and our role in this community, we were the only hospital to serve African Americans in the 150-mile radius in Tallahassee. So when we started to understand that, we were like, we have to take the forefront for the community because, like we were talking about this whole time, it was bigger than what we thought we had on in our little bubble of FAMU. We had colleges and universities have huge responsibilities for our nation. We are training young professionals, young women and men to go out to be leaders for our world. So it just makes sense that we had to volunteer for the site. Even though we were scared, we didn't want to, we had to get out there. We had to form a united front to show that the only way to get through this was together, going through it together. So our efforts started there with our site, and then now we have hashtag Call the Shots campaign for our university. So like you were saying, it's just establishing that comfort, that trusted messenger sense, because ultimately it's a chain. Students who want to go to our university, students around the country, look at us, oh yeah, FAMU, they're students, okay, so they're high school students. Those high school students are being looked at by the middle school students. Middle school students being looked at by elementary school students. So even if people feel like they're not in a position to influence someone, it's a domino effect. Like we're saying, get vaccinated for the people around you, not just for you. It's a domino effect.
What message are you using to tell your friends and others to get vaccinated?
Yeah, so like we were saying, we're selfish. We're selfish. This year is a year that we've experienced that everyone who paved the way before us has never experienced. So why are we the ones to be robbed out of our college life, our college career, our college experiences? So we're selfish. We know that we want to get back to the family we call FAMU. We want to get back to the university that we all love, the place we are paying tuition. We know that if we get back, we can have the football games, we can have the set Fridays and the parties, and we can go to class, like I said. I love Zoom University because I like to roll over and get up. However, it's time to roll over and prepare, get together, see my friends, have that interaction with each other, because this is 4 years of my life that this should be an experience unimaginable, and I'm ready to get back, and so is Zoom.
I love that. And then, so FAMU, I met the president of the school as I was landing.
Yes.
College Vaccine Challenge. Why don't you
Yes.
tell us about that?
Right, so we're teaming up, universities are teaming up around the country. We have a pledge, we're pledging to get the universities back to the way that we all love, those experiences that we have gained. We just want to get back, so we're making sure that everyone is teaming up to get as many students across the country. Entire student body should be vaccinated, so we can run our student body and our university the way that it should be ran. So it's going to be a lot of work, but
Worth
I
it.
mean, we have to do it together, and we're gonna get it accomplished.
The best way to do that is to continue to share your story.
Exactly.
If we don't share our experiences with everybody that we know, it won't make a difference. We
And
have
we
to
do
talk about it.
everything. We're like, free snow cones, you know, a haircut, anything, like, come on, let's get it together. So it's a challenge, but it's gonna happen.
I love it. I love it. Maria, how are you?
I'm
Good to
doing
meet
well,
you.
Thank you.
Tell us what you've been working on.
Well, I have been blessed to work with rural and vulnerable populations in education, but we quickly realized that, you know, our children are not going to succeed in school if the other areas are not met. Medical, you know, legal. And I was so excited when I got a call from Legal Services of North Florida, who was working with the Neighborhood Medical Center, that she had the foresight to understand that if we don't build trust within communities, we have nothing. And they are vulnerable that they don't have the legal services, they didn't have enough medical. And then to put education and communication, which is, you know, paramount to that, we present a united front when we go out into the communities, into the churches, into the pop-ups on the, you know, little stores, the neighborhood store, because we're doing this together and we believe in it. And so by building trust, that's what brings them to us, and they actually stop to listen. And, you know, we tell them the importance that we've done it, our families have done it, and I just think that's the way to go for some of our communities, is one, we have to be able to communicate, language is paramount. They are lacking in legal services, so if we give them that, and that's how we started, we put, excuse me, our legal services in North Florida, we did a joint educational FaceTime Live. We had over 800 views that night with our farm worker communities, our refugee communities, our immigrant communities, and then we plugged in the COVID. You know, the importance, the understanding, and they started hearing about that. And then next stop is we're going to have a clinic. So they started to come, and the word is getting out. But we have to go to them on their time, but we have to have that trust factor.
So I've seen this all over the country as I've traveled as second gentleman. I think we've been to 15 or 16 states now. And we've seen this working East Coast, West Coast, where you have this a community health center with a church and with also small business and the barbershop owner and trusted folks in the community who all band together. And also the legal, we've seen that as well. You know, being a lawyer, I love to hear that. And again, plug lawyers out there, get involved in pro bono. It's so great to hear this, and it works, right? And you're smiling because it also, there's going to be a life after COVID.
And our 12-year-olds and up they're trusting us to get them vaccinated.
But that trust will help going forward after COVID, because now it's bringing the community together, and we've gotten through this together and built that communication and trust. When other issues pop up, the communities are going to be a lot tighter. They're going to be much easier to deal with these harder issues. So it's so great to hear that.
It's about trusted voices.
Yes.
It's about trusted voices. And in our community here in Leon, Gadsden, we have worked to build trusted voices so that, like you said, after COVID, you still can come to us for the services that you need. We're here to help you get through everything.
Right, and those bonds that you're building between these various community organizations are not just going to go away, hopefully. After COVID, they're going to be stronger.
No, I was just going to say, you know, my pastor, Pastor R.B. Holmes, you know, he's been in this community for 30 plus years. And thinking about lived experience, he always tells us to meet people where they are, right? And so, you know, when he established the statewide task force, the Millennial Task Force, we thought it was important that we connect with legal services, nonprofits, and we do those sort of things, because if we're not doing it, no one's going to come in from outside and do it for us. And so, you know, we're just thankful that we are able to intersect and interact with all these people doing great things. And, you know, we have the medical mobile unit, so we're going to the events that people are going to be at, right? We're going to be at the Orange Classic, right? We're going to be at these different places in Florida so that we can get people vaccinated, because lived experiences matter.
So how are you getting the word out? So, for instance, I know I'm going to see the mobile unit.
unit,
How are you getting the word out in the community for all the great things that you're doing and talking about? How are you getting the word out?
Social media is definitely a platform for our generation that is working. word of mouth, showing up, just going places and talking to people, sharing those experiences.
What about on the college side, and millennials?
On our campus, we're doing a lot of videos, a lot of things just to make sure that they're seeing faces that are just like them, that are getting vaccinated, things like that. So we're just making sure social media videos, informational videos as well, very important. The fun ones are cute and fun, that, get people's attention, but also it's the information aspect that is equally as important.
And doctor, what about folks who aren't online all the time? And some of these folks, we have to work harder to reach. So how are we reaching those folks?
Well, usually we have telemedicine,
Right.
so we're able to reach out to our older population. And actually, when the campaign for getting the age 60 and older vaccinated, we're able to reach out either by telephone or we did, a blast on, different ways to communicate with them and their relatives. Most of the older patients have younger people who take care of them, so we reach out to them.
And this mobile, bringing it to them
Yes.
is so important
Yes.
because they may not be able to just jump in a car
Right.
easily or figure out a way to do it. So the fact, what you said is, meet them where they are.
And another thing that we've done is we use our outreach workers that are all bilingual to go out into the camps, into the farms, and then we go back to the old-fashioned telephone. Those that we know will not get on Facebook, excuse me, we actually just call them, or we make home visits, socially distant, but we want to make sure that we reach out and that they know that we're here and that we have partners that we're working together so that, as a whole, that we'll be able to get back out into the world the way it used to be.
We have so many vulnerable populations in our community, just like everywhere else. Here at Neighborhood, we have a Ryan White program, so we take care of persons who are living with HIV and AIDS. We have a pediatric program, we have a mental health program. Targeting those populations of patients who are very vulnerable is key to what we do. So linking up with our community partners and making sure that we have targeted outreach to make sure that we inform and educate and then vaccinate. It's key.
Just in addition to what Jeanne was saying, we do have an OBGYN segment, and because of COVID, we were able to have them isolate with all the pregnant women, have just one building so that they would not be mixed with the general population.
And thinking about the anxiety that a pregnant woman would have to go through with COVID. I mean, I think I understood it firsthand. I have a 9-month-old now. So just being pregnant and a pandemic hit, we had to really be there for our patients to get them through that. It was scary to go to a hospital. You didn't know what you were going to face. Giving birth is something that you want to share with everyone, and that was taken from a lot of us. It was taken from a lot of us. So that in itself is a reason to make sure that we get out and we keep doing the work that we're doing so that we don't have to deal with this situation again.
Philip, anything else on your mind? Patrice?
I wanted to mention that as a person that promotes concerts, I got woke, as the students say, because we spend quite a bit of money doing PSAs, videos, and Facebook ads. But as I said, we had 8,000 hits from TikTok. And so, what I found when I was at home in West Palm Beach, my hometown, just a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that grandchildren are always showing their grandparents what's on TikTok, what's on Facebook, and then the grandparents, well, show me this and show me that. And so that's why they have become, but I am woke, but Philip loves chat rooms. And so my idea is if I can get this generation to use chat room to get people motivated, because that's where his generation, it's Snapchat, I know that's over, TikTok, but his generation, I'm saying I'm 63, but his generation, He's in trouble about chat room. He doesn't have his phone because of chat room. And so,
I feel we're gonna have to talk about that off camera.
so I want to turn that around to our advantage, and maybe we can work as a collaborative, and with young people to make that happen.
So one of the things I always do when I do these roundtables is I'm here on behalf of the administration. I happen to live with the Vice President of the United States. And at dinner, she always asks, Dougie, how was your day? And she will do that tonight. And I always share with her what we talk about. She's going to be very interested to hear these conversations. But if there's anything, you know, you want to communicate to me, the administration, just please let me know. And you know, that's one of the great things about this. We do listen, we take it back, and we're just trying to fix things, and we're trying to get these vaccinations out there, hit the goal that the president put forth, the 70 by 7-4, and we are getting there, but it's crunch time, and we're at that point where we've got to get this message out. We've got to get folks to understand that it's not just about them, and that they're doing it for themselves, but doing it for others, and also debunking any myths and disinformation out there. And the reality is, it's not new technology. It's been out for years. They were able to use it for COVID, and they can use it for other things as well, and it works. You said the efficacy is incredible, especially preventing serious illness and death once you're vaccinated. They're free.
One other point that I wanted to make. A lot of the variants and the new coronaviruses, the different strains, have come to the U.S. So that's another reason to get vaccinated, because so far the Pfizer and the Moderna seem to cover these additional strains that are devastating India, for example.
Right, and people can't easily forget already how this was a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
When you were on the news watching those numbers, we're up to almost 600,000 of our friends and family members have died, and as the president so eloquently and emotionally says, there's that empty chair at so many tables and so many families across this country, and we got to stop that. And people have to remember what it was just like months ago, not years ago, just months ago. And we can't get back to that point. We got to just move forward, push through it. And what you're doing is so important. And the way you're doing it, it's creative, it's informative, and it's working. So, of course, I will take this back and on the rest of this road trip for the next couple of weeks and see what's going on around the country, but take what I've learned here as well and hopefully say, hey, in Tallahassee, they're doing it right. They're getting folks vaccinated, and they're doing it with great spirit, some good humor, and some fun. So I really appreciate this. Love this opportunity. Any last words from anybody before we take a picture?
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming in.
My honor.
Yes.
It's really an honor to be in this role and to be able to do things like this. So I thank you for having me.
Anytime.
You got it? Hey, all right. Thank you all. This was great. Appreciate it.
All right, and we're going to put
Okay, take a picture.
So we're going to take a picture here, but just stand right there. And if everyone
Digital anchor Fletcher Keelenback with you here from the station studio here in Tallahassee, Florida, WCTV. You've been watching a roundtable discussion with several community leaders and Second Gentleman of the United States, Doug Emhoff, of course. Second Gentleman Emhoff, the husband to Vice President Kamala Harris. He is in Tallahassee today to help part of the campaign led by the White House itself, by the United States, to help get 70%, at least 70% of all Americans vaccinated by July 4th. That has long been a goal of the Biden administration. And he said that this is actually the first stop that he is making as part of the Month of Action campaign, the name of the campaign given to get 70% of Americans vaccinated. He said, to open his statement, he said, quote, "We've got work to do, and that's why we're here." Did say things are starting to get better, but said, from his perspective, from the administration's perspective, they are not there yet. We are not out of the proverbial tunnel that you continue to hear about, saying that we are can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but not quite out of the woods yet. Also said regarding the vaccines, quote, "They're working, they're safe, they're free, and it's easy. I thought it was painless. Even if you don't like needles, it's quick." That also a remark from Emhoff. And I can confirm that as well, having gotten both of my shots a couple months ago. The needle, could hardly feel it. So that is one thing that I can say from experience with the second gentleman. Neighborhood Medical Center's Jeanne Freeman also spoke. She was the woman directly to the right of the second gentleman. And she says that they've been here for the community from the start of the pandemic. They started as testing and are now handling vaccines. And I want to apologize real quick for the shaky video. We're actually going to stay on this shot as the second gentleman and the rest of the press group are going to go along with him for a tour of the facility. So we're just going to keep this shot, have you get a little sense of what it's like to be at a place like this. As you can see, that it's very bright outside, the white balance a little off, so that shot is a bit blown out. And actually looks like we've lost connection to our shot. So we're going to come here just a moment until we get that shot back up. But going on more on what Jeanne Freeman said, she told the story of her son's vaccination journey and said that many of his friends are now vaccinated thanks to her son. We also heard from Dr. James Wright, who said that getting vaccinated isn't just about keeping you safe, it's about keeping members of your family and those around you safe. And Emhoff points out that young people can still transmit COVID-19 to people at risk, going so far as to say, quote, "Even if you don't want to take care of others, take care of yourself, take care of others." And we also heard from FAMU Student Government Association President Carrington Wiggum, who spoke about the college vaccine challenge, something you can see on your screen there. She says that students are ready to create a domino effect for younger people here in our community in Tallahassee. So again, second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, in Tallahassee today in conjunction with President Biden's National Month of Action. We just touched on FAMU participating in the College 19 COVID vaccine challenge. Wasn't able to find what a potential victory for FAMU will look like or what that would entail, but they are one of the several universities participating. And as of today, as of second gentleman Emhoff's visit, 37.2% of Leon County residents are vaccinated. That according to the CDC. And if you would like to get vaccinated, if watching that roundtable made you decide that you think getting vaccinated would be safe and would be in your best interest, there are several ways to do that. There's a website at the very bottom of that graphic that you're looking at, vaccines.gov. You can go there to find locations. You can even sort by specific vaccine types and get more information on how to make an appointment. You can text your zip code to one of the following numbers, 348829, or if you need information in Spanish, you can text your zip code to 822862. If either one of those options are not options for you, you can also call the National COVID-19 Vaccination Assistance Hotline at 1-800-232-0233 to get help in English, Spanish, and more than 150 languages if you are a native speaker other than English or Spanish. So several ways, and you heard second gentleman Emhoff highlight each of those ways at the very beginning of that roundtable that we just saw. We have lost our feed. We were hoping to be able to bring you the tour of the vaccine site that the second gentleman is embarking upon as he continues his trip in Tallahassee. Did want to remind you that before coming to the vaccination site, that is what second gentleman Emhoff was doing. He was meeting with some Tallahassee city leaders ahead of his visit. You can see there Mayor John Daly, Commissioner Curtis Richardson, and Commissioner Diane Williams-Cox pictured with the second gentleman before he came to that round table, and now they are embarking on a trip to go tour the vaccine facility here in Tallahassee. Going to step aside, going to leave you on this photo for just a moment. Going to see touch base, reach base to our Monica Casey and Hannah Messier, the team bringing you that roundtable, bringing you the coverage from the medical center here in Tallahassee as the second gentleman of the United States, Doug Emhoff, is visiting the capital city. Digital anchor Fletcher Keel here with you on Eyewitness News Now. We are working to get back a live feed from the visit by second gentleman Doug Emhoff in Tallahassee, touring a vaccine site in Tallahassee. We just are maybe about 3-4 minutes removed from the ending of a round table that he was holding with several community leaders talking about what they have seen in and around the Tallahassee community regarding COVID-19 vaccines. And before he even did that, we also got a pretty cool look. Unfortunately, it happened right as, or was this scene I'm about to describe was ending right as we were going on air, so we were unable to bring it to you live. But a 16-year-old got her first COVID-19 shot, a Pfizer shot, in the presence of the second gentleman. She said that she and some of her friends were nervous to get the shot originally because it came out too quickly. The second gentleman reassured her that they've been doing research for many, many years on the science. So she was able to get her first shot today in front of the second gentleman. A pretty cool sight to see. We are continuing to attempt to reach the team of Monica Casey and Hannah Messier. They are live on the ground for us. We have lost their signal temporarily. We were hoping to bring you the tour of the site by the second gentleman. So we're going to step aside for just a moment. We're going to leave this screen up for you. We're going to step aside and see if we can't get that video back for you. Hey, and as you can probably hear, we have been able to get video back, and that is the scene outside of the vaccination site, the center that the second gentleman and his crew are at. And you can see in the shot, Capital News Service's Mike Vasilenda. He's no stranger to us. You see him regularly on Eyewitness News, 5:30, and 6, especially during the legislative session. And it looks like they might have finished the first part of their tour, the inside part. It looks like they are are rather outside of the mobile vaccine site that they were at. Again, we are going to keep this picture up. It will be a bit of a shaky shot. It will look a little cattywampus as it does right now from time to time. But we're going to keep this shot for you so you can see kind of the maneuvering, what it might be like to be one of the people at the scene of something like this to try and get the shot. So we are hoping to bring you the second gentleman once again shortly. Looks like though they are outside of what is a mobile vaccine site. Wonder if the second gentleman will say anything more about that. But we do have the shot again, and we're going to stick with this until the tour ends.
I've gotten better at phone talking. I'm still not Charles. Okay. You want her? Because the TV still says live. Could that be CNN taping that? But they got everything in there. Yeah. I can grab something for you. Hey, are we still doing a one-on-one with him? Yes. Okay. This was fun. Thanks for coming down.
Digital anchor Fletcher Keelan back with you here, and unfortunate news. It looks like the technical issues we were having spun the entire visit to the vaccination site by second gentleman Emhoff. Trying to confirm that with our Monica Casey and Hannah Messier, who are at the scene. If that is the case, that is going to end our coverage here on Eyewitness News Now. But that will not end our coverage throughout the day. Monica will have a live report for you coming up in, if you might have heard the what we call, or the overhead mic here, in about 5 minutes on Eyewitness News at noon. And then, of course, we will have follow-up coverage for you throughout the evening, beginning on Eyewitness News at 4 with Ben and Katie Kaplan. So trying to get that confirmation real quick. And it looks like... it actually looks like we might be able to bring you an interview with the second gentleman. If we can't bring it to you live here, of course, we will bring it to you throughout the evening and try to get it on our website at some point here in the very near future. Again, second gentleman, Emhoff, you can see the bit of the information on your screen there. Visiting Tallahassee, today is the first of his stops in conjunction with the Biden administration's National Month of Action. They are hoping to get to the finish line of their set goal. It's been a goal for the vice president, for the president for quite some time. The former vice president, now President Biden, for quite some time, to get 70% of Americans vaccinated by July 4th. We are under a month from that July 4th point. Several numbers over the last couple of days, several places have said that 70% number by July 4th won't exactly happen, but we're still able to get pretty close, and that is what second gentleman Emhoff is hoping to achieve with his tour. With this tour, the first of the month of action campaign happening right here in Tallahassee. As of today, according to the CDC, 37.2% of Leon County residents are vaccinated, and if you need to get vaccinated, there are several ways to do so. If you're watching, we're watching the roundtable, and you thought that now might be the time to get vaccinated. If you have not yet, there are several ways to do that. First, you can head to that website that's at the very bottom of this graphic, thevaccines.gov. You can go there, find your location. You can sort by specific types of vaccines and get more information on how to make a vaccine appointment. You can also text your zip code to the following number, 438-829, to get a set of locations near you with vaccines in stock. If you need that information in Spanish, you can do text 822-862. And if either of those options for you are in fact not options that you can do, you can call the National COVID-19 Vaccination Assistance Hotline at 1-800-232-0233. Over 150 different languages available there for you if you need that. It looks like we are very close to being able to bring you an interview that Monica Casey will do with the second gentleman of the United States, the husband to Vice President Kamala Harris, Doug Emhoff, from the Neighborhood Medical Center. And we are currently standing by, awaiting to see the second gentleman come into the picture. According to Monica, they're bringing him in now, so in just a moment we should be able to bring you a one-on-one interview with the second gentleman of the United States. Digital anchor Fletcher Keelan back with you. Setting the scene once again, we are awaiting an interview, live interview that Monica Casey will be doing with the second gentleman of the United States, the husband to Vice President Kamala Harris, Doug Emhoff, who just finished a roundtable with some local leaders regarding COVID-19 vaccination in our area here in Leon County in Tallahassee, and also has completed doing a visit of the vaccine site. Unfortunately, we were not able to bring that to you due to some technical difficulties we were having with our live feed, but we are hoping and expecting to have an interview with the second gentleman here sooner rather than later. Of course, this stop is actually the first stop of the second gentleman's plans to help push along the Biden administration's National Month of Action. The Biden administration making one last push to try and get to their established goal of 70% of Americans vaccinated by July 4th. Of course, with it being June 10th, that means we are under a month until that July 4th threshold. And look who it is. It is the second gentleman of the United States, Doug Emhoff. Let's step aside and hear what it is the second gentleman has to say about his trip to Tallahassee and COVID-19 vaccination efforts.
Makes this one a success today?
Well, we're going to be on the road for a couple of weeks, several, I think still TBD how many. This was great. You saw what I saw. This is a high energy, creative. You had folks of all ages from different parts of Tallahassee, university, you had church, you had a kid, a musician, and social worker, and a doctor, and an activist. So, and what you heard was this community has come together to fight COVID. And now that we are getting into the the nitty gritty on hitting the vaccination goals, they are just doing everything they can to convince everyone here in Tallahassee to get their vaccination. And you heard it's the right thing to do, protect yourself, it's safe, it's free, you want to go back to school, go back to work. But what was really compelling was, don't be selfish. If you feel you're young and maybe you won't get sick, you could get grandma sick, you can get someone who is immune compromised sick, and you don't want to be in that situation. So if you don't feel you want to do it for yourself, do it for others. And you also heard this is not new technology. This has been years in the making. So there's misinformation out there, and talk to your doctor, go to vaccines.gov. All the information is there so people can make the decision. But for me, and why I'm doing this and spending so much time on this, it's just the right thing to do. Again, we can all get back to school, go to the game, go to the movie, all the things we want to do to get back to normal, but we're not quite there yet. President set a goal, 70% by July 4th. We're there, but we're not there yet, so let's get there. That's why I'm doing this tour.
Getting to that 70% goal, what age groups are you all focused on right now? Who do we still need to reach?
You know, it's all across the board, but it's some younger people that are well, maybe it's not my time yet, I can wait. And so it's also down to 12 and older, and it's hopefully going to get younger than that. So it's really a concerted effort. But you heard from some young people today, a college student and a 14-year-old, and some moms who had younger children. We watched a vaccine of a 16-year-old, and it was great. And she was very amazing on talking about why she was choosing to do this and choose it publicly, because all the things I've been talking about, to protect herself, protect her family, protect others, so she and her friends can get back to the lives that we enjoyed before, that we will again.
And my last question for you, why start in Tallahassee? Why'd you pick this spot?
I love Florida, and I have spent a lot of time here throughout my life, but I've never been to Tallahassee. So what a more perfect place to come than North Florida to kick this off and spread the word. And what a great community. I was able to meet leaders in the community and all the leaders at this round table. It's been a fantastic visit, and hopefully get to come back soon.
Anything else you'd like to add about vaccines before we let you go?
People, please, they're free. They're easy to get. There's no excuses at this point about availability. They're safe. They work. Save yourself, but most importantly, help save others, and let's get back to normal. Let's hit that goal that the president set.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
really quickly have a question too. So I think it's also important to remember that we're very blessed in this country to have the ability to get these vaccines, because a lot of the other countries around the world are still trying to get that vaccine. So Americans need to be grateful for this opportunity that we all have.
We do, and in fact, the news just hit that the president was announcing, I think, 500 million vaccines over the next year plus will be made available around the world. So we need to get vaccinated, but as the president said, America's back, and we're out. We're going to help other countries in need with these vaccinations and make sure this is a country effort, but this is good for the entire planet. People need to get vaccinated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Second Gentleman of the United States, the husband to Vice President Kamala Harris. As the microphone goes dead on the live feed, we will turn that down so it's not blasting in your ear. The husband to Vice President Kamala Harris, Doug Emhoff, concluding his visit, as you just heard, his first ever visit to the Tallahassee area after touring a vaccine site in Leon County in Tallahassee. Again, in conjunction with President Biden's National Month of Action, the final push by the Biden administration to get 70% of American adults vaccinated by July 4th, under a month to go until that mark. So this, the first in what will be several stops by the second gentleman to try and complete that goal for the Biden administration. Well, that is going to do it for us right here on Eyewitness News Now. Not sure what the timeline is, if Monica Casey will be able to get onto our noon show, but if she is not, do not fret. We're going to have a ton more from this visit for you in our later shows, of course, beginning with Eyewitness News at 4, 5, 5:30, and 6. And then, of course, we'll have some more for you coming up at Eyewitness News at 11. Well, for our team on the ground here in Leon County, and Monica Casey and Hannah Messier, I am digital anchor Fletcher Kill, saying thank you for joining us. Nearly 90 minutes of coverage of the second gentleman, the husband to the vice president, being here in Tallahassee. And of course, this is just the beginning of our coverage. We will see you throughout the rest of the afternoon on WCTV. We are still live with Eyewitness News at noon, so we will see you over there. We are signing off here for now from our Facebook page, facebook.com/WCTV.tv.